The office was silent except for the tapping of her heels on the polished marble floor, each step echoing like a countdown to the end. She had worked here for 5 years, pouring her heart into spreadsheets and schedules, yet today felt different. The cold eyes of the CEO, Derek Sinclair, followed her with a chilling detachment as he signed the final termination papers. She clenched her fists, her chest tightening, wishing she could vanish into thin air. But as he stormed out, leaving the door slightly ajar, something caught his attention. A leather-bound diary tucked carelessly under her laptop. Curiosity flickered across his face, the first real emotion she had ever seen from him. What kind of man finds power in reading someone's secrets? He flipped it open, and the words she thought were hers alone whispered to him like forbidden confessions. Desire and guilt intertwined, and a question burned. How far would he go with the truth he had just discovered? Arya couldn't breathe. Fired after years of loyalty, the streets felt alien under her shoes, every honking car a reminder of her sudden vulnerability. She clutched the diary absence like a lost lifeline. How could someone so cold, so unyielding, find her innermost thoughts? Meanwhile, Derek sat back in his chair, replaying her words in his mind like forbidden music. He didn't understand why her confession sparked something inside him, something beyond curiosity or control. He needed more, but every instinct warned him it was dangerous. That night, Derek couldn't sleep. The diary rested on his mahogany desk, its pages whispering secrets only he was allowed to hear. Every confession, every hidden thought of Arya's, tugged at something deep inside him. He wondered if she realized how much power vulnerability could wield, and how dangerous it could be in the hands of someone like him. The next morning, Arya called Maya, her best friend, her voice trembling. She couldn't believe how quickly life had shifted from normalcy to chaos. He found it, she whispered, thinking of the diary. Maya urged her to take control of her story, to reclaim her power. But Arya felt trapped between fear, anger, and something she couldn't name. Derek watched her from afar during the day, just enough to see her laugh nervously with a colleague, her curls bouncing, her eyes scanning the room. He realized her diary had not only exposed secrets, but had unlocked a fascination he couldn't resist. Every page, every word, drew him closer to a dangerous, thrilling obsession, one he wasn't sure he could control. Derek couldn't stop thinking about her words. Every secret in the diary was a thread pulling him closer, weaving an obsession he couldn't deny. He kept replaying the moment he first discovered it, the way her vulnerability leapt off the pages and into his chest. Meanwhile, Arya walked through the city streets, clutching her bag as if it contained more than just work files. She felt exposed, aware that someone who wielded absolute power knew her deepest fears. The question echoed in her mind. Could she trust anyone again, especially the man who had fired her, and yet seemed inexplicably drawn to her essence? Arya returned home that evening, heart racing. The diary was gone, yet its presence lingered in her thoughts. Every word she had written had been exposed to the one person she least wanted to impress. And yet, the thought of him reading her private confessions stirred something unexpected. Curiosity, tension, and a thrill she didn't want to admit. Derek's assistant, Nathan, 35, black man, lean build, sharp features, reminded him gently that curiosity could be dangerous. But Derek couldn't stop himself. Each diary entry revealed layers of Arya he had never seen, vulnerabilities that made the woman he had dismissed as just an employee feel alive, fragile, and tantalizingly close. Arya met Maya, 27th, black woman, warm brown skin, long braids, wearing a casual chic outfit of fitted jeans and silk blouse at a quiet cafe. Maya's voice was steady, encouraging her to embrace her independence and even use the diary as leverage. Though Arya shivered at the thought, could exposing her secrets ever be a form of power? Or was it just fuel for Derek's obsession? That evening, Derek lingered in his office long after everyone had left. The diary's pages had revealed Aria's fears, her dreams, and the hidden longing she had buried behind polite smiles. He realized he was no longer just curious. He wanted her. Every complex, vulnerable piece of her. But desire mixed with guilt, and he wondered if the fire he felt could ever be safe. Derek's fascination with Aria had grown into something impossible to ignore. Every thought of her diary brought warmth to his chest and tension to his limbs. He found himself lingering at her office window, watching her from a distance, imagining the words she would write if she knew he was observing. Meanwhile, Aria, now cautiously attending networking events, felt eyes on her that weren't purely professional. There was an unspoken connection, dangerous and thrilling, binding them in a web neither wanted to admit existed. Aria attended a corporate gala that evening, feeling the weight of her sudden independence. Every laugh, every conversation was punctuated by the thought that Derek could be somewhere watching her, analyzing, judging, or worse, wanting her. She had never been more aware of her own allure, nor more frightened by it. Derek's assistant, Nathan Cole, 35, black man, lean build, watched from the shadows as Derek approached Aria under the grand lights of the gala. Nathan knew better than to intervene. This was a dance of power and desire, and Derek's obsession had reached a tipping point. Every subtle glance, every micro-expression revealed the pull they couldn't resist. After the gala, Derek arranged for Aria to join him on a private terrace, overlooking the city. The air was thick with anticipation. He asked her questions that went beyond work, about her hopes, her fears, the secrets she had confided only to paper. Aria felt exposed, yet a thrilling shiver ran down her spine. She knew she shouldn't trust him, but the pull was undeniable. Nor could he see, and the scores was trust him. The city lights shimmered around them, reflecting their emotions neither could fully control. Every word between them felt like a dangerous dance, desire and restraint intertwining. Derek wanted to reach for her, but the power dynamic, the diary, the secrets, all held him back, teasing him with impossibility. Aria felt the same, drawn to a man she both feared and craved, questioning how far desire could stretch before it shattered them both. Derek's obsession had reached a new intensity. The diary had revealed Aria's hidden fears, her dreams, and the parts of herself she never shared with anyone. But when he discovered a page hinting at a past betrayal by someone she once trusted, his mind raced with jealousy and protective instinct. Meanwhile, Aria sensed the invisible pull of his presence wherever she went, feeling both exhilarated and trapped. The collision of their emotions, desire, resentment, fear, was inevitable, and neither knew who would break first. Aria confronted her past, reading old diary entries she hadn't intended to revisit. Memories of betrayal and heartbreak resurfaced, making her wary of Derek's interest. Could someone so powerful ever truly understand the vulnerability she had documented in private? Every word she had ever written now felt alive, dangerous, in ways she couldn't control. Derek couldn't resist reaching out. He invited Aria to a private dinner under the guise of reconciliation, but his real intent was to confront the emotions her diary had stirred in him. Aria's heart raced at the thought. He had fired her, read her secrets, and yet here he was, offering intimacy she didn't know or she could trust. The conversation was electric. Derek's voice softened as he admitted the draw her vulnerability had on him, and Aria struggled between anger and a longing she couldn't suppress. The emotional collision was undeniable. Every confession, every glance, every subtle touch carried the weight of years of unspoken tension and secret fascination. By the end of the evening, neither could deny the magnetic pull between them. The diary had unlocked more than secrets. It had opened doors to desire, curiosity, and fear. As Derek walked Aria to her car, their hands brushed, sending a jolt neither expected. The collision of their emotions left questions lingering. Could trust survive obsession? Could passion survive betrayal? And who would surrender first to the fire between them. Arya stormed into Derek's office the next morning, her heart pounding like a drum. She held the diary close to her chest, the pages now symbols of both vulnerability and defiance. "You had no right," she demanded. Eyes blazing, Derek, 38, black man, with muscular build and dark brown skin, in a tailored charcoal suit, looked up from his desk, expression unreadable. Yet, behind the cold exterior, a storm of desire and guilt flickered in his piercing hazel eyes. Their connection crackled with tension, anger, longing, and a dangerous curiosity, all tangled together. The line between confrontation and temptation blurred. Derek rose slowly, closing the distance between them. His voice was low, smooth, almost a whisper. "You don't understand what you've done to me." Arya's heart skipped, every word a dangerous magnet pulling her closer. She hated him for the power he wielded, and yet craved the raw honesty in his tone. The office, once a place of structure and rules, had become a battlefield of desire. Arya's defenses wavered as Derek reached for the diary she still clutched. His fingers brushed hers accidentally, or perhaps not, and the spark was electric. Their eyes met, and in that fleeting moment, all the anger, all the frustration, and all the forbidden attraction collided. It was impossible to separate what was professional from what was primal. The office door clicked shut behind them. Derek's control faltered for the first time in years. He stepped closer, lowering his voice, admitting truths he had never voiced. His fascination, his obsession, the way her diary had unlocked something human in him. Arya's pulse raced, heart hammering, caught between fear, fury, and an undeniable pull toward the man she once feared. The rules were gone, and the line between desire and recklessness had disappeared entirely. Finally, Arya dropped the diary on the desk between them. Silence hung heavy. Derek looked down at it, then back at her, a slow, dangerous smile tugging at his lips. She realized in that moment that the diary had done more than reveal secrets. It had set the stage for a passion neither of them could resist. The turning point had come, and neither would ever be the same. Desire and trust had collided, leaving only one question. Could they survive the intensity of what had just begun? Arya stood in her new office, a space she had fought hard to claim. No longer an assistant, no longer under Derek's shadow. She felt her pulse steady for the first time in weeks. But when Derek, 38, muscular black man with dark brown skin, in a tailored navy suit, walked in, his presence undeniable, she felt the familiar tension spike. This time, though, she held her ground. She was no longer just vulnerable words in a diary. She was a woman who could meet his gaze without fear, a woman who could challenge desire and demand respect. Derek approached carefully, every movement deliberate, aware of the shift between them. "You've changed," he admitted softly, voice tinged with awe. Arya smirked, leaning casually against her desk. For once, the balance of power felt hers. Desire remained, thick and heavy, but now it was mutual. Both had to navigate the fire carefully, knowing neither could dominate the other completely. Later that evening, they found themselves in a quiet rooftop lounge overlooking the city. The air between them was charged, not with dominance, but with understanding. Derek's hand brushed Arya's over the table, not commanding but tentative, exploring. She met his gaze, allowing herself a small smile, acknowledging the desire without giving away control. In that delicate balance, something new was born. Trust entwined with attraction, vulnerability paired with strength. As the night deepened, they shared stories beyond work and desire. Arya spoke of her dreams, her fears, and even of the diary that had once left her exposed. Derek listened, truly listened, his usual control replaced with a respect that surprised him. The fire between them had shifted. It was no longer only about obsession or power. It was about two people meeting as equals, testing boundaries together. By the end of the night, Arya realized that her independence didn't have to push Derek away. and Derek understood that his obsession could transform into something deeper: respect, admiration, and a passion tempered by equality. They parted with a lingering glance, a silent agreement that this new power balance would redefine their connection, blending fire, desire, and trust in ways neither had ever experienced before. The city skyline shimmered like diamonds as Arya arrived at Derek's penthouse. Their journey had been marked by secrets, desire, and power struggles, but tonight felt different. She was no longer the vulnerable assistant, and he was no longer the untouchable CEO. They met at the door, eyes locking in recognition of the fire that had brought them here. For a moment, time paused, and all that existed was the pull between them, the culmination of longing, trust, and passion that had been building for months. Once inside, Derek guided her to the terrace overlooking the city. The night air was cool, but the heat between them was undeniable. Every touch, every glance carried the weight of months of secrets and desire. Derek traced his fingers along her hand, and Arya felt the world narrow to just the two of them. Vulnerability was no longer weakness. It was a shared trust that ignited passion, deeper than either had expected. Arya finally let herself smile, feeling a liberation she hadn't known was possible. Derek's voice, low and tender, whispered confessions of his own admiration, attraction, and the respect he'd always struggled to show. The diary, once a symbol of exposure and fear, had transformed into the bridge that led them here, to honesty, passion, and mutual understanding. They stood close, hands entwined, letting the night envelope them. All barriers, fear, past betrayal, obsession, and power dynamics had melted into something new. Desire was now tempered by understanding. Passion was now accompanied by trust. They were no longer boss and employee, observer and observed. They were equals, partners in both love and life, ready to embrace the future together. As the night drew to a close, Derek kissed her gently, a promise of more than passion, of love, respect, and shared secrets that no diary could capture. Arya rested her head against his chest, feeling a heartbeat that matched hers. In that moment, they had crossed every boundary, faced every fear, and emerged stronger, bound by desire and trust, ready to write the next chapter of their story together. The diary had done its work, but their story was only just beginning.